On the back of this worksheet, it asks what relationship exists among the segments of a secant and a tangent drawn from a common point outside the circle. You know, on the front we had two secant segments. On the back we have a secant, but we also have a tangent. All right, let's look and see what happens here. When a secant and a tangent are drawn from a common point, as we can see, the square of the tangent. You know, with the tangent, we also need to have a product, a multiplication problem. But with the tangent, we will only have one measure. If we only have one measure, how can we form any multiplication problem with it? We can multiply that number times itself. And when we multiply a number times itself, we are squaring the number. Okay, so the square of the tangent is segment AB. So right here, you can see segment AB is squared. So the tangent squared equals we continue to do the same thing we have been doing with the secant. Equals the product of and for the secant, we multiply the outside part and the whole secant. So once again, for the outside, we have segment AD, so equal outside times the measure of the whole thing. So this is the outside, and the measure of the whole secant goes from point A to point C, from here to here. So to get the measure of the whole thing, we add outside plus inside. Once again, to get the whole thing, outside plus inside. Okay? All right, so we have this equation written on our paper. Let's apply it. Once again, you have 3 practice problems to complete. Let's begin with the first one. And I think half of you have already completed all 3 of these because many of you work ahead of me. And you normally do a great job with whatever you do. But beginning with number 1, we begin with the tangent. So we take the tangent and we square it. So that is x squared. And set that equal to, and for the secant, like we've been doing, we begin with the outside part. So 4 times the measure of the whole thing. To get the whole thing, we add 4 plus 12. All right, so let's simplify what we have on our papers. Bring down the x squared. I know 4 plus 12 is 16. And 4 times 16 is 64. To undo the square, we want to take the square root, do the same thing to both sides to maintain that balance. So x is equal to both the positive and negative of 8. But look at your tangent. These represent measures. Can this segment have a measure of negative 8? No. Therefore, we can eliminate the negative part. So this is equal to, well, you know what? Excuse me. We can keep that negative. Because it is the what? Go back to the original. It's the tangent squared. If we square negative 8, we get us 64. Or if we square the positive 8, we get 64. So we always plug this back into the original equation. That is x squared. Okay? So x squared would be a positive 64 either way. Okay? So this is the answer. Let's go to the second problem. All right. This time your tangent has a measure. So we want to take that tangent measure and square it, 10. And for the secant, always begin with the outside part. So equal to 9 for the outside times the measure of the whole thing. How do we get the measure for this whole thing? Outside plus inside. 9 plus x, or you could have said x plus 9. All right, so now let's simplify what we have here. 10 squared is 100. And now we want to distribute the 9 on the outside. 9 times 9, 81, plus 9 times x, 9x. Now let's subtract 81 from both sides. Bring it over here with the 100, excuse me. And that leaves 9x is on the right side in this case. And 100 minus 81 is 19. And then we want to divide each side by 9. And we know that 19 is not a product of 9, so we should get a decimal answer or a fraction. So let's divide and write your answer on your paper. I know 19 divided by 9 is, it will remain 19 over 9. which is approximately, change to a decimal, and that is 2 11/100ths. Are there any questions? Okay, so go ahead and get started with problem 3. It's similar to problem 1. Let's see how you do. Do you have it set up? Beginning with the tangent, square it, and set that equal to for the secant outside plus, times the measure of the whole thing, excuse me why. And to get the whole thing, we add outside plus inside. Okay? So they give us x squared is equal to 4 plus 16 is 20, and 20 times 4 is 80. Take the square root of both sides. They give us x equal both the positive and negative of, and the square root of 80 is 4 square root of 5, which is approximately, press your SD key, and that is 8.94 hundredths. Very simple. So you should receive soon a worksheet 5.4.5. You are to complete both the front and the back. It's a mixture of both of these concepts. You have plenty of examples. Go home, complete them in class. If you don't finish in class, you go home and complete this worksheet, because when you come back for Thursday, you will learn 2 other concepts that will also be included on your quiz Friday. Okay? Have a good one.